Hi, Nancy here, and I want to wish all of you, in your own way, a very happy July 4th. If you are celebrating in any way in this country that I live in, enjoy, take every moment as precious, and have a good time. If you are celebrating anything worldwide, in any sense of the word, same goes to you. Enjoy. I have a story for you because of Taylor Swift's upcoming ceremony. Now, we don't know for sure if it's going to be in that different part of Madison Square Garden where sometimes ceremonies take place. I was the officiant at one of them. And here's the miracle story about that, the weird part and the good part, all of it together. I was interviewing a wedding couple. She was in a permanent wheelchair. He had been following her home. They were engaged, and she was the love of his life. And her car overturned. Something happened to the car itself. It was a mechanical problem. He pulled over quickly and grabbed her. However, the injuries were so sufficient that they said she'd never walk again. So she was in a wheelchair ever since then. And he said, when she said, he saved my life, he said, but she saved mine. Hmm. And so they told me that they were getting married in this very wonderful section that most people never see in Madison Square Garden. So Taylor Swift, if she's doing it with her beloved, it's a wonderful space. It's a sacred space. Well, we constructed the ceremony. Then I got a secret call from her. Don't tell my husband to be. Don't tell anyone. I will walk at the wedding. Really? She said, I don't want them to know until that moment. And then I want you to say something about it in the ceremony, whatever you want. I said, you got it. These are all tailor-made ceremonies. I started doing weddings in 1980, and I stopped doing them during COVID. So that's thousands of weddings in 8 states. Lots of good stories, but this one stands out. And so I wrote up the ceremony, and pretty sure I took a bus or a train in from wherever I was at the time. And I had a backpack. And the backpack just had, well, my wallet was in my dress suit. And I had a clergy robe stuck in the backpack primarily. And it had a flap, an open flap. And that's where I put the ceremony. There's a reason. And I was crossing near Madison Square Garden, crossing the street. And something felt funny because as I went to cross, a couple stopped me and they said, is this the way to wherever? And I said, yeah. And so something about it was off. Intuition knocked. And I looked at my backpack and the ceremony was missing. Take that in. Yeah, it was gone. And I didn't remember every word. I never could because every one of them is different and it's pages. I crossed back where I know they probably took it. And I was devastated. I think I went into hyper whatever, terrified. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? No cell phones at the time. And so there was somebody sitting on one of the about 2 or 3 foot stone wall on that block and casually and said, are you okay? I said, I'm looking for my wedding ceremony. I'm a minister and I've got to have it. Somebody stole it. And she said, could that be it? And she points on the stone wall about 10 feet from her. And I go over and there's the ceremony. Got it. And I thought, oh, they thought it was something else. So I held on to it in both hands as I crossed over everything and got to Madison Square Garden and trying to get my everything down to normal and relaxed because I believe a wedding should be filled with joy and everything. And by the time I got there, I was fine. I was escorted into this sacred place, beautiful behind these velvet curtains. And it's something that you never get to see unless you either work in that part or you're doing something like a wedding. And that moment came. Her father held her as she walked, slowly and carefully, and the miracle happened. So there were a bunch of miracles at Madison Square Garden. I'm sure these are not the only ones. And that's the take with today. Hope you're having a great weekend. I am jumping on and putting this up. And this is Friday, July 3rd. So have a good weekend, everybody.